So the first thing that's important to go over is the views. So up here at the top, we have the ability to add views. And the table view is, I think, one of the most powerful views in Monday because it allows us to create a customized view for your team. In this case, it's called the collaboration view. And I'll just create one really quick so you can see, and we'll call this team view. Within a view, I have so many options. I'm able to, first of all, hide columns that don't pertain to my team. So when I click on this, if I click on all columns, I don't have to do that, but it's a little bit faster. Then I can select owner, that's very important. Status, I want them to update that. They don't need to see the baseline, that's for me. So just the timeline and also that planned, spent, and time tracking. That's important information for them to know how much time should they plan on spending, how much time have they spent, so they can time track and plan how much time they have left. So after that, I'm going to go to save to this view. And now, unless someone changes those, it's always going to be saved to that. So if I go from main table to team view, always saved. A few other things that are saved within a view are the column order. So if I think that my team would like to see this time tracking first, I can move it closer to the status so that they don't have to see as much. So once I do that, it's locked in. I can always move it, but that's locked in the view. If I go back to the main table, you'll see it's all the way over there. It's only on the view that column movement makes a difference. A few other things I can do in here is create filters. So for example, right now I'm seeing a lot of done items. I can click on either my advanced filter, which is to the right here, or my quick filter. So it just depends on which you prefer. This is a more visual look. I prefer the advanced filter, which is that little arrow. So I only want to see where the status is not done. This is a working view. People don't need to see when something is done. They don't need to see it. I can save to this view, and forever and for always, this is only going to show things that are not done. Maybe I also want to see only things that are assigned to the particular team member. So I can add a new filter where also the owner is me dynamic. Me dynamic means whoever account this is, it's going to show their tasks. This is super helpful if your team is complaining that they just see too many tasks, or if you're having to create a team member view for every single member of your team. That's too much work. It's a lot of maintenance. This is a much easier way to get a streamlined view of anything that's assigned to me. That is the view. And you can even add things like conditional coloring. Like, let's say I wanted to add it to be red, where the timeline starts after today, or ends before today. This is going to show me some late tasks. And when I save to the view, it's going to show me that red line, which I'll show you, I guess, using this just so you can see what it looks like. Now you can see on the cell it's coloring it. I can even do it on the row. So again, you're making things meaningful, you're making things streamlined for your group. And that's the table view. It's very powerful. So one quick note with something like dynamic filters, this would not be good for you if you're a team that passes things off. Let's take that communication example from before. Let's say you're a team that I'm assigned to activity 1 and Jalen's assigned to activity 2. And when I'm done with activity 1, I want to be able to tell Jalen, that's how we've decided as a team, hey, this task is ready for you now. And we've decided as a team, I'm going to do that in the conversations. So that's a passing of the baton. If I have this team view up that's dynamically filtered, I don't see Jalen's tasks. So that's something to consider when you decide how you communicate the passing off or the communication piece. You may not want that dynamic filter. So these are some things to consider as you're building this for your team. If you know that your team wants to see their view by service or by team, so video only wants to see video, design wants to see design, then we can think about how we want to structure this board. One way we might structure it is by making the groups the types of service. So let's just say this is video, and let's say this is design. Now I can create a filtered view where my group is video, and I can rename this video team. That's one way to do that. But let's say you don't want to do that. It's phases of the process, and it's going to stay that way. The groups don't get their own, the teams don't get their own group. In that way, we need to give Monday some kind of identifier to let them know this is a video task, this is a team task. And there's a few ways to do that. We could create a label. Some of you, just as a quick side note, you may be asking, my Monday doesn't look exactly like this. And that's because I'm in the new board experience. If you would like to engage that, which I would recommend, it's coming out to everyone soon. You can go to your avatar down at the bottom, monday.labs, and click on at the bottom, open board experience experiment. If you want to see this, it's just looks a little different. There's a few added bonuses like the label column that I'm just going to show you now. If you activate it and you hate it, close board experience experiment will close it. So you get the old view again. So you have a label column that you can put in here. This is a status column. It's just named something differently to kind of clarify. So I could put in here video, design, and media. And now, instead of using the group to filter, I can filter by the team. So I can choose now where the team is video. Oops, I didn't put anything in there. Let's try that again. I'll do it this way. So this one's video, this one's video. And now when I filter, it's going to show just those video tasks. So this would be another way. This is a column that your team probably doesn't need to see. It's back end. You could hide it so that they don't see it, because it's really just for you. That's another way to do it. Another way that you could explore is within the item name itself. So for example, if you, let's make this a little bigger. If in writing the item name, you put, video in the name, you can filter where the name contains video. And now that's going to filter out in the same exact way. So essentially, it's the same concept. You want to create an identifier for Monday to grab to be able to filter out particular things. And there's one more way I'll show you, and that's by creating teams in Monday. So you could have a column, a people column here that's called team instead of using the status label. And you can set up teams. Right now I have some teams set up down here. So I've got a design team set up, and in this design team is everyone who's a part of the design team at my company. So this, the same thing. So I would filter where the team people column is design. That's going to get me that same exact thing. If you're wondering, well, where the heck do I find that? You go down to your avatar and you'll see right up here, teams. And here you can create teams. You can add people to the teams. You can invite members, manage users. And once you add people to that team, they'll be in it until you remove them. So it's a great way to streamline it. So only the team that you that you want is assigned to that item. Now you already saw the team view that has that dynamic filter on there. This is great if you just have one or a few boards, but if you have multiple boards, this is not very helpful because I still have to go to multiple boards. So one great feature that's already built into Monday is called My Work, and it's on the left-hand side here. Everybody has this on their account. This is your to-do list, and it combines every board where you have been assigned as a person. And you can also customize it to, as for example, if you're a manager and you want to see all of your team's tasks, you can add them here and have your weekly sync or check-in and use this My Work to go over the work that has been done and that needs to be done. The key to My Work, one, you have to assign people to the task, otherwise it won't show up in My Work. Two, it's best used if it has a due date associated with it. So as you can see, there's a bucket called Without a Date. If you aren't using due dates, then you're going to have a big, long, unorganized list of tasks in this bucket called Without a Date. That's not helpful. People won't do the tasks. So even if you sign approximate dates, that's better than no data at all if you're wanting them to use My Work. My Work is great because you can actually click right in the item. You can work on it. You can leave an update. You can add files in here. You can do anything. And if you've hidden columns from them, then they won't see them in here. If you've hidden them with that little permission that I showed you earlier. Another thing to note about My Work is it will only show one status column and one date column. So again, that's why we want to choose, are we using date or timeline column as an organization to show due date, because it will only show one of those. And for status, again, if you click in here, you'll see all the status columns, all the labels, but it's only going to show one. So it's good to make sure you only have one that's denoting the status of the task. I think, Eli, what you're asking is whether the timeline dates count in My Work or if you have to add an extra column. And if that's the question, then you don't, yes, so you don't have to add an extra column. Timeline will work. And if you look here, you can see that my good structure board, which is what's polling, is polling the baseline. I can choose the timeline, or if I had a date column, I could choose the date column here. If I only had one column, like say the timeline or the date, it would just default to that one. So having it select the timeline is what we want. You'll also notice that sub items do show up in here. If you are using sub items, same thing here. You have the ability to either show them or not show them, and you can select the date column that you're using there. That's My Work. Another way to get the same thing is to create a dashboard for your team. So let's call this, using an example from before, design team dashboard or design team tasks. And I can link, depending on the plan you're on, I can link potentially up to 60 boards if you're on enterprise, most likely somewhere between 5 and 20, depending on your plan. So I can link those boards here. Right now, I'll just link one. Let's link the bad structure too. And now I can add that same exact look as My Work by going to my plus add widget, widget center, my absolute favorite widget called the table widget. It creates a super board by combining all the boards you've linked. So if you can see here, I've got my bad structure board, and I'll scroll down and I've got my good structure board. So it's a big, long laundry list of everything. And I can make this look same thing with the view. I can go into my settings. I can determine those columns I want my team to see. Just name, owner, status, let's say. I'll do that same thing for my second board. Name, owner, status. Let's do the timeline too. And I can also determine using filters, just the same as the views. I want only to see where the status is not done. I got to do it to all of the boards here using the drop down. where the status is not done. Save those filters. And now when I go in here, I can see all of the tasks that I need to do. And what's nice about the dashboard is it doesn't require the date. So if you're an organization or a team that doesn't use due dates, this is a better option for getting a full list of things to do than my work, because you cannot have dates in here and still get that list of things to do. This is also really great for those who are managers or approvers, because you could create a table where you're only seeing, for example, where the status is awaiting approvals. You're busy, you don't have to go to every board. And so you create a dashboard that's just for approvals, and it's only going to show you every day what's awaiting your approval. That eliminates that bottleneck that often happens. Or if something's stuck, same thing. Go to one place, see it all across the whole organization. That is the power of the table widget in the dashboard.